Channel NITT viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. In this episode, we are going to continue to talk about emotions. In particular, we are going to talk about micro-expressions. You may have heard of the word micro-expressions before. So, some people say that in order for you to tell if someone is lying, watch the face for micro-expressions. But what are micro-expressions? So micro-expressions are facial expressions that occur within a fraction of a second. Micro-expressions are involuntary emotional leakages that exposes a person through emotions. So Paul Ekman was one of the pioneer researchers on this subject matter of microexpressions. So he initially shortlisted 6 universal emotions, and later he added another one to make it a list of 7 universal emotions. And all these universal emotions are also what we call now microexpressions. But what are universal emotions? Generally, the word universal in universal emotions means it is universal across all cultures and all countries. So a universal emotion is an emotion that is universal across all cultures. It does not matter whether you are a Japanese, whether you are French or a British. When you display an emotion such as happiness, it will be the same expression across all human beings. So, happiness is an example of a universal expression. So earlier, I told you that Paul Ekman shortlisted a list of 7 universal expressions. So what are the other 6? So let me demonstrate using my face. Okay, that is a happy face. The second universal emotion that I'm going to display is sadness. The third universal emotion that I'm going to display is anger. The fourth universal emotion that I am going to display is fear. The fifth universal emotion that I am going to display is disgust.
Hey, you're disgusting. I can't stand your touch any longer.
The sixth universal emotion that I am going to display is surprise. Lastly, the last one to be added to the list of the 7 universal emotions is contempt. Did you get all of them right, or is my acting really bad? Because these universal emotions are all universal across all cultures, we can also call them primary emotions. Of course, there are also other emotions. These other emotions do not show consistently on the faces across all human beings. So maybe a Japanese trying to portray jealousy might be quite different as opposed to a British. So the Japanese jealous face and the British jealous face might be different because it has been mediated by culture. In some cultures, you can't just display jealousy, right? So jealousy is a secondary emotion. So of course, there are other secondary emotions such as boredom, frustration. So in general, as long as it does not belong to the original list of 7, it is a secondary emotion. The 7 emotions that I have actually talked about form the micro-expressions. so they can show on your face even if it is for a split second. On the other hand, all the other secondary emotions, they will be reflected on our face as macro-expressions. Because it is not universal, it is quite hard to read macro-expressions. Given that our list of 7 micro-expressions are universal across all cultures, it appears as if all these 7 emotions have already been encoded in our facial muscles as a means to communicate with other human beings. So viewers, since we are at this topic of universal emotions and micro-expressions, I have something else for you. So over here, I have actually a board showing 3 emotions. Now, I have drawn the emoticon for happy and sad. As you can see, when you are happy or experiencing positive emotions, you tend to go bigger. Like this emoticon, it has actually broadened. So when you are happy and relaxed, your body tends to become bigger and rounder. When you are sad, when you are experiencing negative emotions, like this one, what happens is you might tend to become smaller. So in general, next time when you try to read a person's body language, when a person is relaxed and happy, they tend to become bigger. But however, if a person is experiencing negative emotions, they might become smaller. They might fold their arms. Now, the only difference is that when you are angry, which I would say is a negative emotion, you also become bigger. So how do you distinguish this happy big and the angry big? Angry big. So when you are angry, you become sharper. So when your mommy is at the door because you have not cleaned your room yet, she goes like this. See the anger in the anger? So I hope that this episode has also helped you in a way to read body language further. As a channel, Channel NITT always aims to produce videos that our viewers may find value in, and we hope that you also enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can continue to add value to you. Okay, I'm going to sign off now, and we'll see you again in our next episode. Goodbye!